Joe, what is the difference between a pickpocket and a peeping Tom?
What?
One of them snatches your watch.
Nice.
One of them snatches your watch.
That is a thinker.
You think that? How do you make a woman scream in bed?
How?
Call her by the wrong name. Not that I know that from experience. Anyways, welcome to Carter for Personnel. I'm Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And
bye.
Yeah, pretty much. I think this is one of those ones where if you turn it off now, you're not missing much. Because do you have the Trump whistle? We're going to get into that much later, but we haven't broken that out in months. But I think this week we might have to. You know, it still works.
Yep.
Okay.
And it still has your saliva on it. Damn it.
So, Joe, I would like to have a couple sideshows coming up with people requesting to be on. One of our friends, the father of Sam, the legendary MIT blackjack ringleader, our friend John, wants to come on and see how podcasts work.
Okay.
My sister made a New Year's resolution. She wants to, like she did last year, she wants to do 6 things she's never done. And she did it like she last year she wanted to, I think, do 2 outings a week, like either have coffee with a friend or go to lunch or something like that with different people and different things. That was her thing last year, because a little bit like us, she wouldn't leave the house unless she kind of has to. I mean, she's very active in like her church and her work and stuff like that. And her neighborhood has a lot of fun events, but she wanted to,
get outside of her liberal bubble.
No, I think she's fine. I mean, we visit our parents enough. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I said, it's like, why don't you come on and, to the podcast? She goes, I don't know what I would talk about. I'm like, neither do we, 100 plus episodes in.
You know how you can tell your podcast is doing wonderfully? If people are asking you how the podcast is doing.
That's a really good sign. You still doing a podcast?
How's the podcast going? I don't know. It's only on the internet for free. You tell me.
Can you squeeze it into your budget? I don't have time. I'm only stuck in traffic 2 hours each way every day. And if I don't listen to Maddie in the morning, So, Joe, we started this in December, and you fell off the bandwagon. You were delinquent in your responsibilities. What happened to fat shaming me?
I'm more of a fat nudger.
I seriously. So I'm committed to getting back to F&H.
Fucking huge.
Fucking already there. Mission accomplished. Check. No, I want to play with the F&H group in Phoenix this Memorial Day. I also, let John and Biff know that I'm planning on trying to get out to LA for 2 to 3 weeks this summer and work it out where like I get there on a Friday morning and leave 3 Saturdays later. So I'll be there for like, let's say 22 days, but I could squeeze in 4 F&H's if I time it.
Why? They already have a Zamboni. I want to roll!
Get off me. And so I do. I have to. So on one hand, I got to get the eating under control. On the other hand, I really started in earnest this week. Started jiu-jitsu on Monday. Did well. And well enough where I couldn't walk on Tuesday. Went to jiu-jitsu on Wednesday. And it's funny. It was almost like the experience when I hadn't done anything like jiu-jitsu or MMA for years. When I got to Qatar and I started, I can't do any of the warm-up stuff. None of it. I can't do crab walks. I can't. My shoulder just doesn't let me walk backwards on my hands and feet. I can't do rolls and tumbles and jumps. Nothing.
Unless there's some butter.
And see what he's doing there. And so so it's one of those things where I'm by far the heaviest set guy. There's bigger guys than me, but I'm the only one 80 pounds overweight. Everybody's probably at least 15 years younger. And I can't do any of the warm-up stuff. And the instructor was actually kind of a dick about it. And I'm like, look, I can't lift my arms above your shoulder. I can't do this. Because it's in your head. It's like, no, it's a surgically repaired shoulder. I know what I'm doing here. But when it comes time to actually grapple, people are like, oh, Okay, and it's one of those things. I'm not flexible. I can't do a lot of these like leg sweeps and stuff like that. But so that's good. And then on Thursday, for the first time since I've got back from Qatar 2.5 years ago, I went skating with full gear on Thursday.
Wow.
Embarrassing. I don't think I've ever seen you skate, and I'm not guessing you and I would be that far apart. I mean, dude, it was tragic. First of all, the tragedy of speaking about butter, having to put butter on my thighs to get the pants up and on. I mean, honestly, I had trouble tying my skates. The trouble being, couldn't reach down over the gut and had to sit sideways. Like, I'm shaming myself, hoping that if I listen to this later or if anyone listens to this, in the 2019 political correct libtard snowflake world, I'm giving you full license to go ahead and shame me because I need it. So on that happy personal note,
good to see you back in the swing of things.
But I couldn't walk on Tuesday morning after jiu-jitsu on Monday, and this morning, no, I was everything I could do to get up out of the bed. On a happy note, I don't know if you saw any of the Golden Globes. I'm guessing that this is a Golden Globe household.
It was not.
It wasn't.
I think.
Was she out?
She was out, and I was watching. Something we'll get into later in the podcast, but I was not
Match
watching.
game reruns from '78.
Shut up.
Did you see Christian Bale?
No, I didn't see really anything of the Golden Globes.
So two fun things. I forget, and the whole world forgets. You've seen American Psycho. You've seen the 3 Batman movies. You've probably seen American Hustle, all that stuff. You forget he's Welsh with a very thick Welsh accent.
That's right, mate.
And is Christian Bale here now? I don't see so well.
Don't voice shame me.
No, I'm not.
Fatty.
See, thank you. So Christian Bale, like, everybody forgets worldwide that he has a very thick Welsh accent. And he thanked Satan for helping inspire him to play Dick Cheney. It was, and I posted on Twitter, it was akin to, you thanked Hitler? Why would
I didn't thank Hitler. I would never.
Why would I thank Hitler?
Kids in all sketch.
But he did, and it was great because, Dick Cheney is one of the most evil, sadistic sons of a bitch.
Why? Just because he signed a waterboard torture device on Sacha Baron Cohen's latest show?
Did he really?
Yeah, he autographed a jug of water, like one of those gallon jugs, like the ones that you cut out that pours water.
Because that's hilarious.
And he signed it. Anyway, you were saying?
I was saying, no, this is how evil and powerful that son of a bitch is. He shot his friend in the face, and his friend got out of the hospital and immediately had a press conference apologizing to Dick Cheney for being in the way of where Dick Cheney was pointing his gun. That's how powerful. But it's great because a lot of people lost their shizzle over it. and not everybody. The Church of Satan actually they enjoyed the PR hit that they got this week and jumped all over the bandwagon.
Who wouldn't, though? I mean, he really did lose himself in that role. I saw, clips of him portraying Dick Cheney, and kudos, I guess. I mean, the movie I heard was kind of middle of the road, like not great, but like him in it is phenomenal.
I mean, I'll Redbox it,
kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody, like movie meh, but Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury was super, In
that one, I kind of wanted to see, but I guess it did phenomenal.
Well, it won Best Picture, Golden Globe.
And yeah, but no. So I will definitely do that. And a couple weeks ago, I was talking about watching old movies that I just one night just hit record and got 5 or 6 old movies. I've been watching them. Some of them are really good. And yesterday, last time I was talking about this, I had said it before, how I'm watching the movie and I'm Wikipediaing and trying to figure out what other things I've seen, like the background actors, and yet another movie, because it was something that we were watching last week, the principal from It's a Wonderful Life, we had also seen in...
Well, he was in Hoi Polloi, one of the Three Stooges skits.
Okay, right. And so, that's what I'm like, what else would I have just seen him in? He was in one of these old movies. And again, probably 10th in billing, 12th in billing, but I recognize him. So I'm reading all this stuff. And I'm now in that age group where I think I would enjoy the movie Loft, where I think I would enjoy coming in and out of commercial breaks. Fun facts about the movies, In
about another 10 years, you could co-host the Amazing Colossal podcast with Gilbert Gottfried.
I'm getting there. I do. I like that stuff. So as I'm watching it, and I don't know, I don't know who the ad wizards are who came up with this, but they were uninterrupted. It's not like I took out the commercials. So I'm watching all these movies. I'm like,
TCM doesn't have commercials.
There you have it. But I would like bumpers and people explaining, hey, this person from this.
Hi, I'm Troy McClure.
So I would like it. And now we're going to start.
By the way, Dana Hershey was the guy who hosted the movie Loft.
Where is he now? If we only knew.
He's dead.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dana Hershey, yeah, he's dead. Yeah. Deadly dead.
So I can have that. So last week we found out we can add Bob Einstein to your voice impressions.
Yep. Now this week you can add Dana Hershey to your impersonations.
See?
It's a win-win.
It really is. Mm-hmm. Speaking of win, serious question. When did saying white supremacist become a bad thing?
Instantly.
Oh, okay. So somebody, and by somebody I mean everybody, including people from the GOP, are starting to remind Republican representative, and I feel bad because the guy's name is Stephen King. So
we'll call him Steve King for short.
Okay, so there's all this stuff going around that Steve King is advocating for being able to say, white supremacist isn't a bad thing. Some of the Republicans have come out and said that's wrong, but we're not going to sanction him or give him a timeout or anything. But it is scary that it's publicly being thrown out there that, hey, it's not really fair that we can't say things like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, is that him trying to equate like the N-word being used by black people, like white supremacists? That's our word.
That's our word.
You can't take that away from us.
Don't say the S word. Just don't say the S word. Okay, now we're going to get into it, but we'll try. We'll start with the fun thing. It's all over Twitter this week, and I forgot that you had talked about it just before the election. The 1958 show Trackdown had an episode in which you know more about this.
I know the same amount as you, but I'll talk. All right. What of it? It's so it's making the rounds at this clip from an old TV show, Trackdown 1958. I think it's like a Western show, black and white. And it's the episode in question is about this grifter that comes to town that tries to spook the townspeople into thinking they need to build a wall to keep them out from invisible threats. Turns out the grifter's name is Trump.
Could you make that up?
I don't want to.
But somebody in 1958 did.
Some genius ad wizard. No, somebody. Yeah, I mean, well, probably back then Trump would be like
11-year-old Trump is watching this and thinking, hey,
yeah, someday, Dad. Well, so and then at the end of the clip, the guy's trying to make it out of town. He's like a snake oil salesman. Actually, he looks more like a Ku Klux Klansman because he has like this weird robe and he's got like these mystical looking symbols behind him on his wagon while he's giving a spiel to the townsfolk. And then all of a sudden the law enforcement guy, the sheriff or whatever on the show, tracks him down in some barn as he's trying to make his hasty getaway and calls him on his bullshit and says, "You're not going anywhere. You're under arrest." And that's like the piece de resistance. That's like the big finale, the big finish for this clip that's making the rounds, which had made the rounds, by the way, in 2016 during the election. But people forget. But it's just so crazy that he's also advocating Trump. This Trump character is advocating to build a wall. Like, it's so perfect with what's going on.
To keep out
Yes.
this non-existing invader.
Right.
Now, I don't remember. You know more about this clip
I've
than
told
me.
you don't forget.
How many times? I forgot to remember to forget.
Try to remember.
Did Mexico pay for that wall? I don't remember seeing the whole episode.
I don't believe. No.
Now, let's hypothetically say somebody was faced with a wall in front of them. Let's say it's a concrete wall. I'm throwing up a concrete wall in front of you, Joe. How would you handle this?
Well, first I would look to see how tall the wall is. Secondly, I would try to see if there was an end to the wall on either side. And then I guess lastly, I would just look to see how deep I could dig to get under the wall.
So if there was a wall in front of you, you would try to go over it, try to go around it.
If there was something really important on the other side that I had to get to, do or die, yes.
Is that good advice?
It depends on the context, but I could see how it could be given as good advice. Why? Why do you ask?
Well, let's say the leader of the free world was to address a college graduating class and
current
told them,
leader,
the current leader, and told these young minds that are just leaving college and entering the world that it doesn't matter what obstacles you face, even if it's a concrete wall, you don't stop. You don't stop till you get over it, around it, through it, under it. And I think it's an inspirational message.
Yes. I mean, whether it be the leader of the free world or Oprah.
And so I think, let's say, in a hypothetical situation, the same guy is advocating to build such a wall.
Man, are we beating around the bush on this fucking topic? Are you saying that Trump, during a commencement speech in 2004, gave a soliloquy saying that if you ever feast with a wall, you should climb over and get around it?
Dig under it, go through it, don't stop.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Yeah, no, is that irony? Is that hypocrisy? Or is that just fucked?
That's just Trump, man. That's like there's a tweet for everything. There's now apparently a speech for everything.
How great is that?
Not great.
No, not great at all.
It is not great.
And the other thing that, now that sadly, as we're doing the podcast, the last couple days, so the government's been shut down 3 weeks now, but you get paid every 2 weeks with most government jobs. This is the first pay cycle that people got. They got a paycheck that said zero on it. They got a direct deposit slip saying zero as of today.
I like that they actually printed out the slip.
Right, exactly.
To say, by the way, we know we were supposed to pay you, but here's the amount we can pay you.
And so, under the guise of security, because he can't have his wall, he's going to...
The guise of security
fuck
calendar.
with the TSA. Guys.
Oh.
As in...
Oh, like disguise. Guise.
Not this guy over here.
I'm putting together the guise of security calendar. I don't care what you think.
Have you seen a lot of hotties at TSA?
TS motherfucking A.
So you want everything to be more secure. So let's fuck with the Coast Guard. Let's fuck with the TSA. I'm not feeling a whole lot safer because the government shut down.
Yes,
with no end in sight. And here,
well, that's maybe end in sight. Only because if he declares a national emergency and goes that route, and just says that the border security is garners or warrants a state of national emergency, then so be it. I'm going to get that money and steal it from wherever I have to.
Where's he thinking about getting the money?
Education or something.
Puerto Rico, the relief funds from Puerto Rico,
infrastructure,
California. Mm-hmm. But we're going down. Yeah. Look, you're going to blow the whistle sooner or later. But I did want to blow through some of the awfulness. So we got the shutdown, the conference wall. And now I love the new spin, and we've been saying this for 2.5 years now. His supporters he never said that. You're taking him out of context. Other people have said worse and done worse thing. Now he's saying, because for the last 3 weeks, everybody's playing the same clips of him. Who's going to pay for the wall? Mexico. Who? Mexico.
But they're not whispering. That's me. And then,
The crowd. Yes. We can pump it. We're fixing the post.
Okay.
I can't do anything. He's now claiming, well, I never said they were going to pay with like a check or money, but obviously I meant I was going to redo NAFTA, and that the money we saved through that from the deals with Mexico,
From great trade agreements.
which can't be which have to be ratified through the Congress. Not really sure a lot of his things are going to get passed through the Congress over the next 2 years.
And I think they actually looked back into his speeches, and I think he actually did say somewhere that he would be expecting some sort of a check from Mexico. So it's even that negation of a statement has a negation. It's like it's this Trump inception, man. It's just like lies within bullshit.
Well, and we talked about that. There's already, with the House and the Senate both run by Republicans for 2 years, there was and the DOA, the DOJ is run by Republicans. 17 open investigations on them. What's it going to be now? But so when he decided, and I wasn't upset with him. God bless him for trying. Look, if we at the nation keep letting him grift, why would he stop? Like, if there are zero checks and balances.
There's zero checks going to the people in the government right now.
But if he's getting away with all of this, now he just hired, by the way, 17 new lawyers, which we're paying for. So they're not furloughed. But anyways, that's a different story. So he gives this speech from the Oval Office, and it's his first Oval Office speech. And the networks were debating covering it because in 2014, when the DACA thing was going through and Obama wanted to address a nation, the network said no, it would be too partisan. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So obviously he was just going to get up there and babble his partisan bullshit, which is what he did. I'm so disappointed that the networks didn't say, well, we didn't cover Obama almost on the same subject. We're not doing it here. What is really upsetting and hilarious at the same time, 5 minutes before the Oval Office speech, the Re-elect Trump committee, his official committee, his official re-election campaign sent out an email blast saying, I'm living up to this campaign promise. We're going to keep fighting. Send me more money.
Yep.
5 minutes after the address, making sure that he had, enough red meat thrown out to the base. Don't forget to send money in to keep this fight going. It was nothing but the media giving him
an ad. Yeah, ad time.
And on one hand, I'm furious. On the other hand, fuck these people. If they want to, if you want to give your money to the televangelist, go right ahead. I mean,
kinda. I guess.
Are you sending it money?
No.
Were you inspired to keep this fight going?
I don't send anybody any money.
So,
let alone the shittiest president of the United States ever. But let's, before we get off that topic, the response, the Democratic response, the Chuck Schumer, the optics of the Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi sharing the podium, looking like the bad parents in a Twisted Sister video, like the straight-laced, older, curmudgeon-y people. I appreciate the humor. I like that both sides are getting it, man, but at the same time, I don't like that both sides are getting it, man, because aren't they supposed to be like the champions of truth and justice and the American way in spite of this clown that's running the country?
And several times this week, they're ready to pass bills. Mitch McConnell is in hiding. Like, when's the last time Mitch McConnell has given a public statement or has even been seen? He won't take a vote because he knows right now they could open the government Monday morning. They should open the government now. They have the votes in the House to pass a bill over to the Senate. And even though there's 52 Republicans, there's enough Republicans. You need 60 to make, I think it's 60, you have to have it veto proof. So you need 12 Republicans to flip. Yeah, so they have 52. So you need 12 Republicans. As of today's count, there's 8 Republicans on record who say they would vote for a bill to pass. Now, that's 8 publicly saying it now. if you have to stand up in the Senate and cast your vote 3.5 weeks at this point, or 3+ weeks at this point, and you're saying, no, I'm not going to pass, and it's not agreeing or not saying you're not going to do the wall or any of that stuff. You're just saying on a 30, 60, 90, basis, we're going to reopen the government now and keep this moving. You need 60 votes to make it veto proof. And Mitch McConnell doesn't want to have people stand up and say, no, I'm not going to reopen the government, and then face their constituents. Because there are 22 Republican Senate seats up in less than 2 years. And people who are missing their mortgage payments now, people who are, really having a hard time. But if you're in the Coast Guard, at least the Coast Guard is going the extra mile to helping their families out.
I heard.
You heard about this?
Yeah. They sent out a nice little letter to all of their employees saying that, in these troubling times, there are things you can do to get by, like sell your shit at a garage sale or have a bake sale. Have your wife or husband bake up some of those delicious brownies and, set up a table on the curb.
Dog walking.
You could, yes.
Babysitting.
Right.
As a last resort, you could go bankrupt, which is nice of them to lay out these options. Still come to work, still protect our borders, but on the weekend, sell all this. How much is that? What is that, a 4.5-foot Homer Simpson over there?
I'll sell that when you pry it from my cold, dead hands.
But honestly, when it's this,
and they'd since redacted or retract. They'd since like.
Oh, we're gonna get to the redacted.
Oh, okay, all right, and go on.
No, but remember was it a year or so ago when McDonald's? I think it was McDonald's had a new handbook.
Yeah, they told they told their employees how to on their 10 cent an hour income how to budget their money wisely so that they're not, blowing it all on hookers and gambling and, the things that people who work at McDonald's usually
right. I mean, wasting their money on baby diapers and formula, and
right,
food
and electricity,
clothes.
Right.
And one of the things was get a part-time job. It's like McDonald's is telling you to make ends meet, work your 40 hours here, but then go get a job somewhere else for 40 hours a week. Hey. If you don't do anything except go from one job to another, you don't need your house anyways. Win-win.
Yeah. And by the way, tips are discouraged.
So yeah, that's the world we live in right now. And my favorite thing of the week is he had the sit-down meeting, which was obviously they knew. Just like the publicity stunt with the Oval Office thing, he wanted to have a meeting in which he was going to be told no. Yesterday we said no to the $5.5 billion for this, but you know what? We thought about it overnight. And
wow, what a speech! You really compelled us to change our minds. We've seen the error of our ways, Mr. President.
And when he was told no, he instantly got up, slammed the table.
But you're also missing or glossing over the little bit that he did before he walked out of the meeting.
And what was that?
Well, when he walked into the meeting, I believe he tried a little bribery to a Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House.
A little something for the effort?
A little something. I'm talking, some of that sweet, sweet candy. Like literally candy.
And by sweet candy, you mean?
Literally candy.
Okay. And a lot of people, it's funny because one of the Republican, senators in the room, he came out and he goes,
wow, did he?
He left the meeting room and faced the press corps and said, and he gave him candy. It's like he showed up in his windowless van, rolled it down, said he was looking for a lost puppy, and do you want to help him find it? And I got candy. And they said no.
She did not accept his unwrapped candy.
Bitch. So the funny thing is, people were kind of mocking that. Some consultant had a briefing with him and said, George W. invaded a couple countries, bankrupt us, left us in a wake of his mismanagement. Picked Dick Cheney as his secretary, as his vice president. But he gave Michelle Obama candy at a funeral recently. Went over really great. the people kind of liked it. Nice little bonding moment. Maybe that will get the wheels moving.
Far be it from this administration to steal the ideas of a previous administration.
But I mean, we talked about that. It was like, you know what? I mean, it was a nice little gesture the first time when it happened, when he gave her what was the first funeral?
McCain.
McCain, right? Thank you. And then at his own dad's thing, and it was a funny little sweet moment. And for a split second, you forget he's going to straight to hell. And fuck him. But it was. But I couldn't help but thinking, was he really thinking he was going to have this Michelle Obama moment with Nancy Pelosi by giving her a few Skittles?
Maybe if he didn't chuck it at her head. Maybe some finesse.
So you had said the word, and I didn't have it, redacted.
Yeah, I tried.
Did you follow? Did you hear about the
redacted document that was maybe not so much redacted. It was some formatting error. You're talking about the Paul Manafort
awesomeness.
Well, so you go into the details because you watch Rachel Maddow religiously.
Yeah, and I guess in management actually explained. I heard that for some reason it was redacted. A PDF went out. But if you copied and pasted it for some, the redlining and the redaction didn't come over.
Right, the actual text was still survived under the black boxes that were supposedly redacted.
So it wasn't like they took a Sharpie, redacted by hand, scanned it, and then sent it out. Yeah, he's fucked. I mean, they couldn't have fucked him harder by doing this because now everybody knows the things that he's pled to that weren't open, for the public. And I don't see there's a way that he doesn't face the maximum time.
Can you remember any of the bombshells that were found out in the redactions?
Well, so the long story short, he was up to debt with one of the oligarchs, and we know it was very famous. Like he had said, like to the intermediary between the two, "Hey, if I kind of feed him some information, does that make us whole? Does that pay off my debt?" And he got on a plane, flew over there with the most sensitive polling data that would have only been available to the upper inner circle of the Trump campaign, which obviously was weaponized. That's the actual polling information, down to the minutia. And, one of Manafort's fortes, and the reason he was such a highly sought after political hit person is he was great at analyzing this kind of specific data. So he was giving all this polling data one-on-one, to the oligarch that he was upside down with, who happens to be just kind of coincidentally in the pocket best friends with Putin. Putin? So that was fun. And I think,
by the way, when you say oligarch, you got to be more specific nowadays. We're not talking about the American oligarchs that run this country. We want the Russian
right, the Russian oligarchs. I'm not talking the Koch brothers, Shelley Adelson,
Bezos, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, exactly.
Until recently.
Yeah, he's I think he and his wife are splitting up because it turns out that a marriage is considered a union, and he doesn't want anything to do with. And then what the?
I like the other joke where he is he was, I think, up to this point considered the wealthiest American, and then now if the divorce goes through and he has to give away half, he'll be tied for fourth wealthiest. Tied because he has to share some of his money with his ex-wife. Tied.
With her.
Tied. The Dickens.
Mother. So, you didn't have to get out the Trump whistle. I think that covers the douchebaggery. Let's not forget, he advocates not letting a concrete wall stop you from getting over it, around it, through it, under it.
Which, by the way, apparently you can cut through said wall.
Right.
It's a prototype. Hey, you got to break a few walls before you make an omelet. What?
So, one of the fun stats that I saw this week is the $5.1 billion that he wants for the wall.
Oh, it went down. I thought it was 5.7.
Is it 5.7?
Yeah.
Whatever the latest number is, somebody did it. That would give a $1,700 raise to every teacher in this country. Every single teacher, whether they're teaching in Nowheresville, Montana, New York City, Arlington, Massachusetts, wherever, that would give every single teacher $1,700 bump.
Meh.
Right, exactly.
You teach a teacher to fish, you could feed her for life. Or him.
Teach a teacher how to have a garage sale. And,
oh, boy.
But so that was it. I've been thinking lately, there is, and I apologize for blanking on this. I should have done the research. There is a term in Scientology, and I'm not making this up. I think I've told the story when I worked on the show Touched by an Angel. They were going to mention Scientology in a cult episode. It wasn't going to be about Scientology, and we got a thick envelope from the network legal department and the poster on the outside. And I'm not kidding, just said no fucking way. It was all these stories about how the Scientology go after people who mention them in a negative way in the media. There is a term where when you're talking to them, if you have a legit question about Scientology, hey, you don't really believe in a God figure or this, but you get they're not supposed to answer your question. They're supposed to come back with a completely different topic, putting you on the defensive. Mm-hmm. I wish the Republicans or the Democrats would take a page out of the Scientology playbook or the TB12 playbook, depending on, because it's the same voiceover guy, and do it. So I want to do a little experiment. So you are a Fox News person interviewing me, asking me questions about the party. So go ahead.
About the religion.
Oh, no,
about the Democratic
about the Democratic point of view or platforms or whatever.
Mr. Congressman, is it true that the Democrats think that climate change is a national emergency and should be dealt with post-haste?
Yes, and at the same time, I think the fact that these children are dying in the hands of the United States government in these would-be concentration camps that the administration has crudely constructed is one of the most inhumane moments in American history.
Well, that's interesting. Am I supposed to? I'm not good at improv. Am I supposed to pay attention to what you were saying and then respond in like?
But that's one of the things when you ask somebody a question, and I wish and
you actually answered my question. You said yes.
Well, yeah, I said yes, but I instantly maybe I should. But that's the thing when you're getting these talking points, or when the media is asking you questions, instead of even answering them, it's like, well, don't you think that both sides are responsible for the shutdown? Instead of saying, well, no, blah, 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 because it all becomes white noise, and it's just like, yelling to your own constituents versus just turn around. It's like, if we want a wall, I will back the president when he gets the money he said he was going to get from Mexico. Or just completely put them on the defensive. Stop trying to, and I hate to say this, but one of the problems that Obama had, one of the criticisms that Obama had, too intellectual. Mm-hmm. People liked George Bush's, we're going to round him up, we're going to smoke him out, we're going to get him. They didn't want a Harvard, what's the
Ivy League?
What's a newspaper? The Harvard Journal, the Law Journal that Obama was the editor from. Oh, okay. They don't want a guy who graduated with a law degree from the most prestigious law university.
Are you saying that there is a swath of anti-intellectualism in this country?
Maybe.
On this podcast?
Definitely.
So, okay, I get what you're saying, that you want the Democrats to be more plain talk.
And at the same time, stop being on the defensive. Stop justifying.
Stop feeding the trolls.
Yes, stop justifying, any of this, and just attack. And I hate to say it, it's worked very well for him. And every time he's attacked, and you give facts and figures, and but they should do nothing except keep saying, look, here's the tape. Here's him saying he's going to own this shutdown. Here's him saying going around the wall. Here's him saying Mexico's going to pay for it. Or just keep bringing it up. But keep it simple, redirect, and put them on the defensive.
I believe it was us who said maybe 6 months ago or so on this podcast that we came to the conclusion that facts don't fucking matter to these assholes.
It is 100% true.
What do you do? I think, don't you just have to kind of like the concrete wall that Trump said to find a way around? Maybe you look at the people who are trying to impede progress in this nation as a wall, a real wall that you have to somehow get around. Just work around these cocksuckers. I mean, I don't want to say cocksuckers because you know what? For some people, they like sucking cock. It shouldn't be a derogatory term.
It really shouldn't.
No, pussy lickers. Wait, that's actually. I don't know what I want to say.
Get back to the cocksucking.
Yes.
As my brother always says, dude, just pussy on a stick. Just pussy on a stick. Let that one sink in.
I will.
And so, no, but my whole thing is the same thing. Instead of justifying, saying, you know, they've done the sit-ins trying to get gun control, and Paul Ryan shut the lights off. Do the same thing. Like, Nancy Pelosi should not adjourn Congress for the weekend. Stay here until we come up with a bill. She has a gavel. She can literally keep the lights on inside and just make a big, and whether it's a big spectacle, like calling a national emergency or sending the National Guard down or sending the military down for this caravan before the election. If that's what it takes, just keep staying there and say, hey, you know, whatever you want to say, we're for border security. We're going to stay here and figure this out. But how do we have border security if we don't have a TSA and Coast Guard? Let's stay here and figure this out. Even lie. Go ahead and lie and say, you know what? We're willing to put the $5 billion in if Mexico puts in the first $5. We will dollar for dollar. If the president who promised Mexico is going to pay for it gets a check from them that he promised he would on whatever show on this date, we will match dollar for dollar. But until then, we're going to take this money and put it in the TSA, put it in the Coast Guard. We need people back to work. We are not going home until this.
That's crazy, Nancy's price matching guarantee. But you get a country to fund the wall, we'll match it.
Wait, seriously. You know it's not going to happen, so go ahead and fucking say it.
Right. That's
all right.
What I think.
Now let's move on to what has become a fan favorite of me.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the ending of the podcast.
No.
Because I don't like the podcast.
Is it me in the podcast?
A little from column A, a little from column B.
So what if I put a shirt back on?
Okay. Now you sold me.
So we've been doing it since almost day one, probably day two, the Self-Indulgent Theater, where Joe really gets to stretch his thespian skills with one. I said thespian, just pussy on a stick, and where he does one of my favorite impressions that he had, be it a Gilbert, be it a Bernie Sanders, neither who we've seen in a while. But last Thursday, we did a special Super Dave Osborne, a.k.a. Super Dave, podcast. And I did not realize going into it what a great Bob Einstein impression that Joe does. He led off last Thursday's sideshow by doing an old Bob Einstein joke.
You don't have to tell these folks. They've already heard it.
But when I first heard it for a good 30 seconds, I thought that he had grabbed it off a clip off the net, either when he was on Letterman or he was doing the panel discussion with, why am I blanking on the name of the show?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Because I can't even say because I hate them. But I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute. That's actually Joe. So I decided this week Joe will do his Bob Einstein theater, and one of the things we've been doing, and it started, I think, with It's a Wonderful Life last year. I've been having Joe read the lyrics of songs generally from Dan Cray, or in this case, Beyond It. Not Dan Cray and Beyond It. At this point, the song Bookends was a Beyond It song. Like, Dan's solo career hasn't flourished and he left us behind in a cloud of dust. And in fact, I don't remember if Rod was in the band or just John Hunt, but I know John sings on this song. I sing a verse, Dan sings a verse, John sings a verse. And after the success of this song, Dan did all the singing. So with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Joe for this week's version of Self-Indulgent Theater featuring Bob Einstein doing Beyond It's Bookends.
Pleased to meet you and all your little friends. Thank God the mindless mass has got this season's trends. I'm tired of apologizing and trying to make amends. I've colored all the pages, so I know how this book ends. Seems to take forever, then you're forever old. Never really listen. Just keep saying, yeah, I know. Doesn't take that much to get matchbook art sold. Just a plastic sales pitch from a man with a Tarlik soul. I tried to walk away like all my heroes do, oblivious to the real world like I'm some fucked cartoon. I love my face in magazines. You think I got a clue? Making money of morons who can't tell I'm a fool.
It's like he dug
I'll have a
himself-
Diet Coke.
Sorry, I stepped over the line. But it is like Bob Einstein dug himself out of the grave, came back. Seriously, I'm not crying, you're crying. There's not a dry eye in the house. There just is. I like to continue. I need to take a break.
And now, the defunct sponsor of the week.
You're watching Boston Bruins hockey from Boston Garden.
And the movie loves Dustin Hoffman and Catherine Ross star in The Graduate. Don't miss The Graduate with only 3 commercial interruptions. Friday night at 8 on TV 38.
That was fantastic. So, about a month ago, Joe, I threw a curveball to you and asked you who is the greatest hockey player who's graced the new Boston Garden, the 25-year-old new Boston Garden ice. And the correct answer was...
Roof.
You think
Maybe
I
I
should have
said
said DiMaggio? The correct answer was my niece, Julia, who won a 3-on-3 tournament there, was the MVP, thus winning her team a trip to the NHL All-Star game later this month. And she, being the MVP, is representing the team on the ice with the Bruins. Well, actually, it's only one Bruin, Pasternak, who's making it. So she's going out there. The funny thing is, and I always chalked it up as a failure on her father, or say her mom too, that she loves Ovechkin, that she loves Alexander, Russian, big, Putin loves Alexander Ovechkin, loves him.
From the Washington Capitals?
The Washington Capitals. Did you hear me say that? Have I ever said that word? Now, I've not been a fan of his for a lot of reasons, which I won't go down that rabbit hole. Beautiful goal scorer, likes to play one side of the ice, not so much the other. Hey, if I score 3 goals this game, why do I have to play defense? You're not paying me to come skate back into the zone kind of guy. But my niece has loved him forever. And I remember coming back from Qatar and seeing her in an Ovechkin jersey. And I'm like, what are you doing? You live in Boston. You live in the shadow of the Garden, Where's your Marchand jersey? Where's your Orr jersey? What the fuck is this? Loves the guy, loves the guy, loves the guy. So my disdain for him became greater in the past week because my niece went to bed crying this week. He obviously is leading the league in scoring and is going to the All-Star game, except he's paying a fine to not go. He wants to sit out All-Star weekend. He wants to take 3 days off, which he has to literally pay a fine to the league to do. My niece is crushed, absolutely crushed. And my brother was telling her, it's like, look, the Bruins are bringing you out there. You're going to have a Bruin jersey on the ice. Pretend to like them. She was crushed that he is not going. Well, last night as we record this, the Washington Capitals came to the Garden and played the Bruins. I posted this on Twitter. I liked it when my sister-in-law sent me the video. Did flip phones from '93 have videos? Because that's what this looks like. It looks like she ran it through a Commodore 64 and then texted it to me. It looks like crap. I posted it anyways. But my niece, wearing her Ovechkin jersey, went to the Bruins last night. Had a sign saying, Ovechkin, can I have your stick? Sat kind of in the runway near the bench, and every whistle, every shit was screaming out and holding the sign up. He's a popular guy, and there's a lot of other people wearing Ovechkin jerseys. as he's leaving the game, after he's walking down the tunnel and he goes to hand the stick and a bunch of people are trying to grab the stick, he pulls it back, walks over and hands it to my niece.
Class act.
That asshole has now robbed me of the ability to talk shit about him, to not like him. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually saying the Washington Capitals.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't been like this since J.J. Watt helped the Houston survivors in the hurricane.
Well, another dick who's taken away my disdain and hatred for him to the point where I wished him success this year. No, honestly, when I saw that, and I did, it's like I couldn't help harken back. When I was 10, I got to go in the Bruins locker room. I still have the little autograph book that I got that day, and I got Brad Parks, Gene Vertels, and all their autographs. She will have this forever. And my sister-in-law was like, we probably can't get it signed, but hopefully, he or the team can send us like some kind of certificate of authenticity. I'm like, she doesn't need that. She will never need that.
Right. She has, by the way, doesn't she have a video of authenticity?
She does have a video author, but still, when my niece is old and broken down, let's say my age, she will remember it like it was yesterday. This will be one of the she'll have kids hopefully and have a great life and all this, but this is an amazing memory. She will never forget a moment of this.
Unless she gets Alzheimer's.
You are such, literally, Joe isn't the glass is half empty. He's like, no, that glass is half full, but with horse piss. Rain clouds look at Joe and say, "Oh fuck it, man, he's had enough. I'm gonna, we can't compete with that." But
guilty as charged.
But no, I mean, so I'm starting off sport this week by talking about the great Alexander Ovechkin, and it's funny because. Like I said, as he was trying to hand the stick up, people were grabbing for it, and he pulled it away. And I said, and my management had said to me today, it's like, well, how would you feel? Because like you likes to play devil's advocate or bitch, and said, he was handing the stick, and Julia went to grab the stick, and he pulled away from her. I'm like, oh, I'd find him, finish him.
It's on.
So as we say that. Earlier in the week, I wanted to point out that I'm not a big basketball guy. You're not a big basketball guy. Do you even know who Dirk Nowitzki is?
No.
He's been on the Dallas Mavericks forever.
Slow down. The Dallas what?
Mavericks?
They are
a basketball team.
Oh, okay. Tell a guy.
Won the NBA championship like 8 years ago. This guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know how long her career, 15, 16, 17, a long, long, long time. He's a great player, class act. He's finishing up the season. It's the last time he's going to be at Boston Garden. And when he got introduced, he got a big round of applause. Lots of retiring players. That's, it's kind of, I think it's a little, some people overdo it, like when Big Papi did it and somebody else did it, and every ballpark like gave him a clock or a chair. It's like, dude, he beat the fuck out of you for 10 years. Why are you,
Right.
And I used to like when you boo people, but he got a big round of applause when he was introduced at the beginning of the game.
I think now because of social media, it's illegal to boo people.
The Celtics clean the clock. I mean, Dallas isn't a great team this year. Celtics were up by 15, 16 points. There's only like 4 or 5 seconds left. Dallas goes to inbound the pass, and the Celtics moved out of the way to let Dirk get the last shot of the game. He took a 3-point shot and clunked it. But he still, people like that the Celtics moved out of the way. It's a nice moment until the next day you wake up and you see all the talking heads on ESPN and all the trolls on Twitter. Oh, well, of course the Celtics fans cheered for him. He's a white guy. And I'm like, you know what? Enough. Enough. Yes, Yaki was a dick and was the Red Sox were the last team to integrate. True. Which is why they changed the name of Yaki Way this year.
Back to Jersey Street.
On the other hand, people forget. First team with a black player in the NBA, Celtics. First black coach, Celtics. First black GM, Celtics. First black starting five, Celtics. First black guy in the NHL, the Bruins. Yes, Boston has a racist identity and a racist problem. So does you can find every one of these stories in every city and every team. I'm a little tired of it being that it's just a Boston thing. It's awful that there's racism anywhere, but being more of a Patriot fan, how many of these old Patriot players, like the Troy Browns, the Ty Laws and stuff, have jobs in the local media on TV and radio? Why did they choose to either come back, like finish their career somewhere else and come back, or stay here after they're done? Yes, Boston has racist asshole dickheads and a checkered history with it, as does every state.
So you telling me that you're sick and tired of these talking heads on sports radio playing up stereotypes?
A little bit.
You hate how these hacky, no talent yappers are just getting on the airwaves and just spewing out the hackiest bullshit lines about racial.
Shut up.
Like you,
I will
nothing original comes out of their mouths.
Come across this table and kick your Portuguese ass all the way. Your A sores are going to be sore by the time I'm done with you.
My A sores are going to become A+ sores. I don't know.
I will put 8 mint all over those 8. What? Is that a pass? Or a threat? That's a word. I will rub lotion all over you.
You will be loved like you've never been loved before.
Yeah, I'm not good at any of this.
But seriously, so it's just like, yeah, Boston is racist. Get it? It's not, it's like
so all the black players on the Celtics were bowing down to the white guy by getting out of his way and letting the masses shoot the ball.
Of course.
Okay, just trying to get a grip of where we're coming from.
Listen, don't be one of these people. Will you stop? Don't be
a careless person.
Be a care more person, but don't be one of these people who says that they're tired of something being, misinterpreted or some sort of stereotype being perpetuated, because A, you are the king of that, and B, it's a joke. It's a joke.
It is
Lighten
a joke.
Lighten up.
Lighten up, Francis.
You know what else is a joke? The Mavericks record. So, let them have this.
So, as we're recording this, there's no way of knowing if the world is going to end on Sunday, because the Patriots play the San Diego.
You did it. You did it.
LA.
Oh, I'm blowing the San Diego whistle.
Superchargers. I'll be honest. Completely worried. San Diego has been the best team in the two best teams in football the last 8 weeks.
You said San Diego again.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Here we go. Well, they don't even play in LA. They play in Carson, outside of LA, in a soccer stadium.
That's good football. I don't know.
So the Colts, okay, I sidebar myself. The Colts won a playoff game.
The Baltimore Colts?
The Baltimore Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, the two Utes. The Colts won a playoff game last week.
You know what? Good for them. I would not begrudge them to maybe celebrate that momentous occasion by sort of like making some sort of like a tweet and saying, hey, congratulations on being 1-0 in the playoffs.
Dude,
what happened?
How can you not cheer against them?
Explain. What happened?
They had a huge marketing campaign where they started selling sweatshirts, T-shirts, hats, and flying a banner over Lucas Oil Stadium. 1-0! And
is it just them leaning into it and being cheeky?
I know. So their owner is he's had his problems with substance abuses.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think it was 4 years ago, got popped by the cops with a cartoon suitcase full of money. I think he had like $100,000.
Did it have dollar bill signs written on it?
Monocle. Top hat. And he had a briefcase with $100,000 and like $30,000 of pills, like, opioids in his car. He goes in the locker room after the game this week to congratulate the team. And I know we can do better. I don't want to rain on the parade, but I think we could have scored some more points. Like, do you have money on the game? I mean,
Right. I want you to cover the spread a little bit better next week.
instead of, hey, we went from not being in the playoffs to having this great run. And like, honestly, I want to say they start the season 0-4 or like 1-4, 1-5, and won 8 of their last 9 games, something like that. As did the Chargers.
Was this the same? This is the same family who's his father was the same guy who drove in the middle of the night the Baltimore Colts out of Baltimore. Correct.
There was no announcement in the wee hours of the morning.
The Mayflower vans.
Which Mayflower literally moved out of the area. I don't even think to today they're there. Within 100+ mile radius in any direction, Mayflower never was able to rent moving vans again because they were the team that moved her. Anyways, So Jim Irsay is a crazy pill-popping maniac who goes in the locker room. That said, if and I'm saying if the Patriots have won the game, because by the time this drops, the game would have been over, and I will either have been obnoxiously celebrating and tweeting about it, or
in the darkest, dankest corner of your home.
I think the kids are going to stay at Grammys this weekend. But if the Colts beat Kansas City, and Kansas City's had a great year, but again, they've lost like 6 playoff games. They haven't won a playoff game at home in like 20 years. There's been several times where they've had the best record in football and lose at home. If they lose at home, it means the AFC and the Patriots win. It means the AFC title game is played here next week. That would be great. But I can't have I can't imagine a 2-0 banner flying over Lucas Stadium. Would I rather the Patriots go on the road and lose to Kansas City versus a 2-0 Colts playoff banner? I'm on the fence.
Right.
I'm on the fence.
Sophie's choice.
And this is how bad all the talking. Not only are the talking heads on the national level picking the Chargers to win. I'm just saying Chargers. I'm going to simplify it.
Good move.
Picking the Chargers to win. All of them have these rating boards with like 1 through 8 because there's 8 teams left. All of them have the Chargers, the number 1 power ranking of playoff teams left, and the Patriots number 8. And if the Patriots win, I hope there's a lot of, well, this was the greatest upset in the history of football because they were the 8th seed, according to everybody. And all these polls coming out, it's like Stephen A. Smith has his like top 5. Who do you trust most in the playoffs? It's like you have a guy in there who's never had a playoff game, like like Mahomes, who is great, hasn't thrown one pass in the playoffs. Tom Brady's been in 37 playoff games, winning 27 of them, 5 rings. And you have him number 5 on your list. And it might be right, but this is how worried I am that the factors of the game is Brady better than Phillip Rivers? Are their receiver core better than ours? Can our running game match their defense? I'm hanging my hat on. Well, I hope it's really cold.
Right.
Man.
And it will be.
That's the second cross-country trip with a 3-hour time difference that they're going to have to play in 8 days. Does that hurt the psyche of the team? And if that's what you're hanging your hat on, you know you're not going into it with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, you're checking the barometer. Like that.
Dude, I'm already losing sleep. I really am. So that said,
I mean, really, were you going to sleep at all anyways? I mean,
nope.
It's Resident Evil or bust for you.
And that's exactly what it's going to be. I think that wraps up for sports because what else fucking matters? It's still the middle of the season with the Celtics and Bruins and all that stuff. So either the football season is over come Sunday afternoon or buckle up, All-Star Tommy. It's 3 more weeks of me being a prick about the Patriots.
Right, exactly.
It's a lifetime about being a prick.
You got to qualify that.
So now it brings us to either the random video game review of the week, or which we'll get to, or do you first want to talk about what you're playing this week?
I'm not really playing much of anything this week. So, random video game review.
The boys playing anything new? Or we still Smash Bros.
It's same old. I think it's school week, so they're not really hitting the video games until the weekend, and that hasn't happened yet, according to my watch. So nothing new. Let's go to something old, please. We're going to go to the random video game review. Everyone favorite segment. Ladies and gentlemen, the random video game review. Paul? Can I get some random video game review music, Paul? Anything? Anything by, Bach or Mozart, Beethoven, anything at all? Nothing? Okay. Well, Jacques went over to my random video game wall, as I'm calling it for some reason, and he pulled off a random video game. And it's a, is it a, what system did you use? What system? What system?
What?
Just tell me the goddamn system!
When you think of ex-girlfriends,
Okay, just come on.
Xbox.
Okay, an Xbox. Thank you. Right.
You see what I did?
got you with the thing. Let's see. So original Xbox. I'm looking at that shelf now. I really only have one shelf of those, and it's not
Maybe no shelf if you have the garage sale. If you can, you have to have a garage to have a garage sale.
I think you do. So what is it? It's not Project Gotham Racing. Is it Prisoner of War? Is it Prisoners of War?
Well, I just...
I'm going to blow on the disc for good luck. Come on, 7. Prisoner of War. I've not played this game. World War II Prisoner of War by Codemasters for the original Xbox. It's a one-player fair. I'll just read the back of the box. A new kind of escape adventure. Captain Louis Stone shot down over wartime Germany. You must fulfill your mission to destroy the enemy's devastating new weapon, despite imprisonment in Stalag Luft. You're a putz. Stealth and cunning are your only weapons as you escape captivity in an adventure that takes you into the heart of the Colditz Castle itself. Colditz. I'll have a Diet Coke. So, I don't know. I guess it's kind of, it's a World War II prison game. Maybe this actually looks intriguing. I wouldn't mind playing it. I'm sure it got like kind of mediocre ratings though, but it looks cool. It's World War II. I like that era when it comes to my entertainment, because that's what it is now. We're so removed from World War II. Well, not recently, thanks to the good old neo-Nazis that are bringing Hitler back.
Remember when Nazis were bad?
Yeah, it was today. Today is when Nazis were bad.
What, why? Why is it so bad to say white supremacist?
Paul, you have any white supremacist music? I'll tell you why I'm referencing Letterman in a moment. But so that's, I don't know, it's a game. It's a World War II game from Xbox. Nobody gives a fuck, shit, or ass.
Now, first of all, you need a garage. Let's get a garage. Then we'll have a garage sale. How much do you think you could get for this if you were selling it at a garage sale?
I'm going to go as high as $5.
Boom.
Ding.
Seriously. Swish.
Kobe. Whatever.
Of course you said a black guy. Because you're racist.
Just stop. Let it go, man.
Let it go.
Yeah. Why do they think Boston's racist? Now, let me tell you 17 racist jokes. I'm from Boston. I'm just a simple Bostonian. I don't know anything about your politically correct ways.
So, what are you watching on YouTube?
How do you know that I'm watching YouTube incessantly for the past week?
What's the difference between a pickpocket and a peeping Tom?
So,
I'm watching you.
I know. Always watching, Wazowski. Always watching. I'm watching YouTube incessantly, even more so now, thanks to the, I don't know what the word is, the generosity of one Don Giller. Who's Don Giller, you ask?
Who's Don Giller?
Glad you asked. He is the curator of the entire Late Night and Late Show with David Letterman collection. And he has culled all 6,028, I think the number is right, 6,028 episodes of Late Night and Late Show with David Letterman since 1982 up to 2015. Every single one. Even so much so, I've read, this guy is obviously a super fan. He VHS recorded a bunch of his collection and then got filled in the blanks with, tape trades and even some like inside stuff from Letterman's camp. I even read a blurb on one of his videos. He posted a couple of like making of like never before seen making of bits of Letterman's, late show bits, on YouTube. And the story of those is that the day after they wrapped, I guess they started throwing things out of the Ed Sullivan studio and the offices of Late Show. And they had this sort of open area in the back of the building that wasn't walled off yet to the public, but crews were throwing things into dumpsters and what have you. And then after a couple of days, they had barricaded it, but then a week had gone by or a few more days had gone by, and he would go down, this Don Giller would go down to the site every so often. He's local to New York.
Would he put on his trunks and his goggles and dive into the dumpster? Or?
I don't know the specifics of his wardrobe, but I do know that he did fish out, I guess, tapes that were, one writer's or producer's collection that he just, tossed. And long story short, he's gotten even these behind the scenes making of videos, which I'll send to you because they're great. They're just, bits that didn't even make it to air. They're like bits that we're trying to record. It was the premise was that David Letterman was supposed to, he was at a McDonald's and he goes up to the McDonald's counter and he says to the woman behind the counter, "Hey, there's some people over there. You see them? They're having sex." And the woman asks behind the counter, "Sir, how have you had sex recently?" And then he's supposed to improv some sort of a line, and they can never close the bit. She's always laughing, or he's eating a real burger. Like, he's even commenting on how many burgers he's eating because he doesn't usually eat like McDonald's burgers. He's like, "I had no idea that they were going to be this tasty," And it's really fascinating. It's like a nice 15-minute long bit. So I got to send it to you. But so I've been watching Late Night with David Letterman compilations because not only does this Don Giller throw up bits like, "Oh, here's Andy Kaufman on this date," or "Here's Bill Murray on this date," or "Here's this performance," or "Here's this Chris Elliott sketch," because Chris Elliott was a writer on the show since '82 through 1990. He compiles and curates collections, like the entire run of every Chris Elliott character. It has their own little collection, like that Super Dave Osborne collection that we were talking about. Right. That was from this guy's
part 1 and 2.
Right, each 2 hours long. He has nothing but collections of just painstakingly curated in chronological order with dates of when they and then there's always like, it's not like, "Oh, here's a funny sketch with this guy." It's like, no, this is when Jeff Martin premiered the Flunky the Clown character.
Now, first, the two questions is, how much room in this guy's parents' basement is being taken up by this?
This man lives alone.
And,
I think.
No wife, huh?
Actually, I can't say live alone, but I presume.
And does he...
And thank God.
...laminate and frame the restraining orders from David Letterman, or is he...
I hope not, because these are all like...
I think, as you said in the text, he's doing the Lord's work.
He is doing the Lord's work, and he's introducing me to Late Night with David Letterman, because even though I grew up in the 80s, I wasn't watching late night talk shows past Carson. I watched David Letterman off and on, like sporadically, like on a Friday night or something like that, but I wasn't a devotee. I wasn't somebody who was watching it.
For years, he didn't have a show on Friday night. It was just
Thursday night. Right, because on Friday night videos. Yeah. And then, but then they also...
I was watching.
Right. See, I would watch Friday night videos.
I'm old!
Right. So, but I also want to chastise you, because as I was going through the oeuvre of Chris Elliott on Late Night with David Letterman, I knew about the guy under the stairs. I got the guy under the steps. And but I didn't really know about the panicky guy. I didn't know about him doing Marlon Brando for
so great
for like
so
6
great.
months. And this is Marlon, like 87 Marlon Brando. Like Marlon Brando had fallen off the face of the earth. Essentially, he'd sort of he retired from acting at that point. He'd become very large and very eccentric, and he became the kind of caricature of Marlon Brando that we know and love today.
Is that when he was dating?
Oh, I don't know. You're asking
Playing Richard Pryor?
Jesus, you led me down a path that I didn't want to go down. But
I didn't think Richard Pryor felt.
but I also chastise you for not telling me anything about the sketch called The Fugitive Guy.
And you had said this when I got here today, and I've been championing it. David Letterman isn't a success without Chris Elliott.
Absolutely, because I'm looking at the other bits. They're all funny, but they're all kind of pedestrian, and they're almost they're forgettable. It's for the most part. Chris Elliott was the crown jewel of Late Night with David Letterman's comedy. Like there is no, the other comedians or the other comedy writers are good, but as far as performances go and production value that goes into Chris Elliott's sketch,
and you didn't realize how young Chris was when he started.
He was 22, like fresh out of college. And then he did that show right up until he got Get a Life in 1990. And he had come back sporadically throughout the Late Show years. But like he was also like the taste comparison guy.
Everything awful. And like Joe said, he had all these different characters, but he really had one. He had one great character that was spun off in different things, and it was always the over the top.
Right. He was like the self-involved big-headed actor.
Opposite of what like Conan's, what do you call it? Like
self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating. No, this is self.
Yeah, he was a bloviate. Yeah, like he was self-bloviate. Like he there was no like, oh, that's Chris playing a character. They would be like, David Letterman would say, this is a new running character by our own Chris Elliott. Chris, come out and take a bow. And then he'd sit down on the panel and then discuss the skit that he just performed and what
reference.
Yeah, and then he would also go into like the inspiration of the character or where he thinks he's going with the character next. And it was fucking genius. If you have a chance, if you have any sort of love for comedy, television, goodness, go on YouTube and look up Letterman Collection or Chris Elliott Collection and look for Don Giller as the YouTube channel, because this is television at its finest. I hope that someday when Conan retires, I know Conan's now doing like the half-hour version of his show versus the hour-long version, so you can say this is kind of the beginning of the end for Conan's run. But I can't imagine, like Conan, I think Conan's stuff was owned by Broadway Video, which is Lorne Michaels' production company. So I don't think that stuff is ever going to see the light of day as much as Late Night with David Letterman. I am blown away that really the only YouTube strikes that are coming against this guy are like for music, or for like wrestling. If like wrestling clips during the Andy Kaufman stuff, he had to like blur out the images so that he wouldn't get a strike from the WWE, because literally like the Jerry Lawler clips were, I guess, technically owned by the WWE. So, but Letterman's camp is cool with this. The show's over. He's retired. They're not yet putting out a best of Late Night thing, and who knows what the legality is too between what I don't think Letterman owns anything prior to his Late Show, like his Worldwide Pants. Although Worldwide Pants had started, I think, later in the Late Night run, but I don't think he owns any of his NBC stuff.
Right. I mean, he had to really negotiate. He couldn't take bits over. It's just the same thing. Like sadly, Conan couldn't take the masturbating bear.
Right. But he was able to take Larry Bud Melman over. But no, he had to change the name, right?
Yeah, and plus that was a pre-existing person. Like Larry Bud Melman, I think, was his own character.
I think the character name, Larry Bud Melman, had to die at NBC, and then he just became Calvert, whatever his real name is. But the Fugitive Guy. I don't want to lose the track of the Fugitive Guy. The Fugitive Guy is Chris Elliott would be this 70s kind of like a Starsky and Hutch. No, not even that. not even that cool. He's like a 70s detective or cop or whatever that he would start off as like your like the fill-in like drummer. We have a new drummer filling in tonight. What's your name? And I forget what the character's name is. It's like Roger Peterson or something. And then the name's Peterson, Roger Peterson. You look at the camera, and then for like a minute, there'd be a pre-produced The Fugitive Guy, a Quinn Martin production, 70s music, him running down the street. Basically what I did for Lampshade, which was a skit that we did for our little dog and pony show. But it was hysterical. And I was like, I want more Fugitive Guy, but, I can't go back in time. But thankfully, I don't have to. I have a time machine at my computer. It's called YouTube. What are you doing?
That's trouble with a T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for you porn.
No.
Wait, no?
Y stands for you porn.
That's shut it.
P stands for porn.
Yes, it does. Hello. I will be catching up on all that
in 3 weeks,
depending on how Sunday goes. At this point, by the time anyone's listening to this, I'm knee-deep in Chris Elliott YouTube clips from the Letterman years, or I'm endlessly twittering that the Patriots are the greatest team in the history of football. Fuck Phillip Rivers and all those people who picked against them. Otherwise, this is the last. Anyways, what am I watching? I finished Miss Maisel.
The entire run?
Season 1.
Okay.
Because I'm watching it with management. Time's limited. Joe's on episode 5, so I think it only goes to up to 8 or 10 episodes, season 1.
Okay.
I'm not giving anything away, but I will say one of the things I really like about the show is it takes time to show. If you've seen it, I hope you guys have seen it. Late 50s, really great. 1950s housewife. A great wife. So mom. I mean, the kids get sent with the babysitter an awful lot. But she goes to these great lengths to be this great supportive wife. The husband wants to be a stand-up comic, and she truly stumbles into doing comedy herself when the husband leaves her. Joe's seen all this, so I'm not giving anything away. And she has a gift. She's a natural. But what's really good is the show takes a little time to show her honing the act, like
honing,
depending how you look at it. She does flash her boobs a couple times.
Hey-oh.
And I will say, nice. But it shows her working a joke, like over a series of a week or so, doing the open mic thing or the time slot. The same joke, just a little tweak, laugh, little tweak, a little more laugh, finding the right payoff. The whole room laughs. And I like the fact that it took its time to say she really liked comedy. She was supportive for her husband, even when she didn't realize he was just ripping off Bob Newhart, and saw Bob Newhart do it, goes, oh, he does it faster than you. Well, that's my take on it. It's like your take on the other guy's routine word for word. Okay. So I couldn't recommend it more. I'm really looking forward to season 2. Season 1 wrapped up pretty great, and it's one of those things they left it. Could definitely be a season 2. And I don't know if they did season 1 and 2 together or if they got a 2-season commitment. But it wrapped it up, but also, hey, it could go a couple different ways. So it's the same review as last week. It's just all I've got to watch is a little Maisel. But I'll probably be giving. Hopefully I will not. But there's a chance my recommendation next week will be Chris Elliott clips on YouTube.
Also, a little footnote, I got to look up Action Family. Action Family by Chris Elliott and Bob Elliott.
Well, and I was a little stunned. We talked about last week. Joe hadn't seen Cabin Boy, and he's now rectified that situation.
I found the DVD at a Goodwill, and I bought it for $4, which I think I overpaid.
I think, you know what? Can you really put a price on comedy? You can, but hey, I don't think you're going to be running back, but again, watch it, enjoy it, and then sell at the garage sale. It's a theme here.
Paul, can I get some garage sale music?
Garage sale, selling your stuff cheap.
All right, that's
garage
enough. All right. Very good, Paul. Oh man. I got to tell you, wake the kids and call the neighbors.
Parenting tip. Talking to you over there. The handsome one. There you
Timing.
Go. Get close to the mic.
No, I don't have a parenting tip. I'm an awful parent and human being. I can't believe people are still listening to me. I think they're listening through me to get to you.
Let's hope not. I literally think it's the other way. You are the fan favorite, and I think you make the people laugh and have their sympathy simultaneously. My parenting tip. It was going to be one or two, but we talked enough about racism this week, so I'll save my racism thing for next week. I will dive into started jiu-jitsu this week, which is nice. I have my class, then the kids have their class. On Thursday, there was no class I had no class, but it was an open mat.
Boy, I'll tell you.
There was only a couple guys here. I grappled for a while. And again, it feels really good to be kind of Clark Kenting it, where people just assume I'm not going to be able to do much and then beat the fuck out of them. But while the other guys were grappling and I was partnerless, like most of my life, I was able to, work on some stuff with my oldest one before his class. He needs to work a little bit on takedowns. He also forgets how strong he is, and he shifts his weight the wrong way. So my parenting tip is, if you do jiu-jitsu together, it's not only a fun way to bond and work on something, you can legally beat the fuck out of them under the guise of working together on this.
The guys working together calendar.
I swear to fucking God. It's not what he says that's hilarious. It's the face, the subtleness of rubbing his hands up and down.
That's me trying to take off my
his
jacket.
Back to the Future,
right.
Long sleeve, 3/4 sleeve shirt, which in itself pretty sexy. But it's the tone of the voice that gets me. But literally, so the little guy came on the mat. And I'm having him do stuff, and I kept showing him, look, if you have the knee this way and your weight is here, it's easier for you to control the next move. If the way that you're sitting, and then I would just nudge him a little, using his weight against him, and he'd go flying into the wall. It's padded. But my parenting tip is, find a way to have a situation where it's totally cool to beat the fuck out of your kid in public, and it looks like, you're spending one-on-one fathering time. Nah, really, you're even in the scorecard.
A close second would be altitude jumping park, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, come here. Let's play dodgeball, a fun family thing, you little fuck. But that's it for me. Where you did Self-Indulgent Theater to bookends, we will play. I sing the last verse. And again, if you want to rewind the show to where Joe does Self-Indulgent Theater and really dive into the lyrics, you can tell which verse I wrote.
Listen carefully, or you'll miss it.
And we'll talk about that next week. But it was great. As always, Joe, thank you.
And thank you for listening to Carnival Personnel. You can follow us on Twitter at Carnival Podcast, Facebook, Carnival Podcast, and Instagram at, was it Pornhub? Or what? I forget. What's the account?
I think we were with Carnival
It was
Personnel.
XXX Carnival Personnel, XXX, no?
Where you can see what's the calendar?
The guys are working out together. I don't care.
Why am I clapping?
I know.
What's with this manual labor? What am I, a Puerto Rican?
What are you, a Portuguese person? You missed it.
I really did.
By that much.
Would you believe?
Would you believe? Portuguese.
Man, are my ace sores.
What do you call a Portuguese guy that has herpes? Manny sores. For Christ's sake. What?
Let me answer it.
All right, okay. What do you call a Portuguese guy with herpes?
Portuguese.
There you go.
You see,
redundant.
Because
redundant would have been the answer.
The Department of Redundancy Department, how we may help you.
Paul, do you have any closing music?
End of the show. It's been great.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. Please, for the love of God, don't forget,